Yo.
Yo.
Yo,
dog.
Let's talk about some games.
Yeah, let's talk about something.
So, we're gonna talk about our, 3 games that really, I guess, stood out, affected us the most, gripped us the most, we had the most fun with, whatever, of the 360, PS3, and Wii, this generation coming to an end. So yeah, who wants to go
Generation's
first?
going to college.
I go first.
What were your 3 games?
So again with when we talked about it briefly at the end of the last video. First one I'm gonna say is Skyrim, just because Skyrim is that first really, especially with this gen, truly mind altering experience. I don't know, it just changed how I saw games. I wasn't a big RPG guy up until I played Skyrim, and then now
you took the plunge, and
now I fucking love them. And it's just how expansive that world is, and how just ahead of its time, really, that game is. The game still looks pretty beautiful. It's still not as beautiful, I'd say, as GTA, but it still holds up very well. The other game I picked Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Because that game was cool. It took everything better of Assassin's Creed, but then it also showed that if you didn't have to be a first-person shooter to have a multiplayer, which I think was another kind of game changer part of the way through it. You didn't have to have guns and gunplay and all that shit. You could have a stealth-based game. It could still be co-op, and it could still have fun and all that cool shit. And then the last game that I picked is my last mind-altering experience would be the latest BioShock. That game was so fun.
Literally a mind fuck.
yeah, it was a mindfuck.
Game was a complete mind fuck, and it just changed how again, especially with that game came out right around the time that next gen was all of a sudden became a possibility, and almost an eventuality as it is now, but it changed how I saw stories. Everything had to meet that from that point on. That's how good that story was. I was just you gotta be that good, and only a couple games have actually lived up to that story-wise, I feel. So, and the gameplay itself was even awesome. So, those are my 3 big games that I picked. Who's next?
Sammy, you want to go?
Hey, I'm gonna go next.
You gonna go
Hey.
next?
My first one's probably one of the first games to come out for this generation. That was solely this generation. Was thus far. Resistance, I would have to say the first one. Resistance Fall of Man.
Yes.
Because, probably now it may not be the graphic wonder that it was before when the Generation 3 games started coming out and everything, but back then it was pretty amazing. For what it was a brand new game on a brand new generation of consoles.
New IP.
Yeah, and the game itself, it was fun. Alien invasion, it's not, a brand new idea, but for what they did with it, it was kind of creepy. It was sort of a mix of horror and, shooting, military game. It was a combination of a lot of things. It was just I think, a well-rounded game. The next game, or games, I guess, was sort of a wild card, I thought, but for the DS, Pokemon Black and White 2, mainly because it outdid every Pokemon game before it, by legions, I think. Legions, by leagues. It was a lot larger, the map and everything, where you could go, what you could do. The games before that were Black and White, and those were cool, but Black 2, White 2 just took it a step further, and it was a big step. And, the Pokemon games, they were Pokemon games. Of course, you play through, beat the Elite Four, beat the bad guys, but, it was just... It was good. Very, very good for Pokemon games leading up to that. I think that was definitely a prime example of what Pokemon games should be, story-wise. And it sounds kind of weird saying story when it comes to Pokemon, but the different mechanics that made up what you could call the story and everything, and how things, met their ends, and and such. And the last game I would say was one that I got recently. I bought recently. I beat it 2.5 times now. I'm halfway through my 3rd time of beating it. So far, The Last of Us is a pretty good game, I think. Graphically, I mean, it's on par with what Generation 3 consoles are, you know. It's not... It is what it is graphically. But the game itself was very, very interesting. It kept you on edge, and not to the point of it not being fun, but it balanced that fun exploration, completing the game, mixed with being on edge and dying at some parts of the game where it sucked and you kept trying over and over. And it was the perfect combination of challenging and fun, I think. So, Lucas Schmookus.
Lucas Kasha.
Yeah, I guess I'll go next. And I'm gonna try to avoid talking about games because I mean I completely agree with Skyrim being a phenomenal standout game of this generation. Or Assassin's Creed.
We're talking about games. We're talking about games. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
We're
the
talking
games
about
that,
cabbages.
games have already been talked about and spoken upon and spoken for because both Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and Skyrim have been standout games of of Generation 3. Red Dead Redemption, to me, was a phenomenal game, phenomenal story, great mechanics, and then really kind of produced one of the first huge DLCs and expansions and add-ons, which was the Undead Nightmare.
Yeah.
Which, it was kind of like Zombies mode, but it was actually dynamic. Like, if you didn't go save a town, or if you weren't paying attention, towns would be overrun, and then you would not be able to return there and find supplies. Because no longer were you able to just have money and buy bullets. You had to find bullets. Every bullet counted, and you had to hit them in the head. And just the story of Red Dead Redemption was absolutely phenomenal.
And yeah, in a world of games that are coming out nowadays that are all futuristic and military and stuff, it's cool to have a Wild West game.
Yes. Gun.
That's
It was.
pretty
Cool. It was gun. Like Gun and Red Dead Redemption were kind
Gun
of
on
the same.
crack.
Yeah. Red Dead Redemption was gun on crack.
Yeah.
Batman Arkham City. I know it came out towards the end of the generation, but Keith and Tyler, who both played it, can probably agree with me. It was a very standout game.
Yeah.
It was a great story, phenomenal story. I mean, probably one of the best stories I played of this generation.
Definitely.
Just, it was gorgeous. The city itself, Arkham City. I mean, it's not as huge as Gotham City and Arkham Origins is, I'm sure. But the city itself was its own character. It had a life of its own. The gameplay was great.
No combat like it.
Yeah. And then my third one, and I have been kind of bouncing between the two, but I think Tyler's going to talk about the one I had in mind. I'm pretty damn sure he's going to talk about the one I had in mind, so I'm going to avoid it. But really the whole Mass Effect series, to me, the whole Mass Effect trilogy was great. I mean, yeah, 3, it's kind of made it seem like the choices really didn't matter from the previous 2 games, but that whole, sci-fi standout, it was probably one of the standout sci-fi games I played.
Oh, yeah.
You cared about the characters, and really in every game I mentioned, I guess, you really cared about the characters. But, yeah. Tyler?
So I'm going to start with The Last of Us, which came out recently. Just to add on what I pretty much agree with everything that Sam said. I mean, it's challenging, it's really fun, it's interesting, it's on edge. But that story, I've never experienced a story where you get so kind of attached to the characters and I don't know.
Care.
I mean, it leaves me speechless every time I play it. I just get these feels from it and just this world that is just destroyed and is gorgeous. And the ending just leaves you with just so many thoughts and just it is an amazing experience that I feel that everybody just needs to experience it on their own. It is a masterpiece of a game in my mind. Next thing I'm going to talk about is Borderlands 2.
I know it. I totally called it.
But before Borderlands 2, if you asked me if I played RPGs, I would say Pokemon and Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, and you can get the fuck out. But then I played Borderlands 2, and I literally got so addicted to that game. Like, that's all I wanted to do. Like, I didn't want to hang out with anybody. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to play Borderlands.
You wanted to get on Borderlands with me, get your nuke for your commando.
Yeah, and just the character, how deep you can get with the skills, the skill trees, and just all 6 classes are just fucking so unique and so phenomenal. The world they built is just so unique and so fresh, and the visuals are so fucking gorgeous.
It's not realistic, but it's a cell shaded Unreal 3D. Yeah.
And I'm glad that they switched over when they put the first Borderlands out, and the story is actually really, really good. And it's kind of like gun porn. I mean, you just get the craziest stuff. You blow shit up.
Keith would love to have my rocket launcher.
Yeah, the enemies you fight are just awesome. Some of the coolest characters. I mean, Tiny Tina is just legendary in my mind. She is so
Mr. Torg.
awesome. Yeah, Mr. Torg.
Honestly, Handsome Jack, I think, was one of the best villains of this generation.
That is true. It's just, that game is mind-blowing in every single way. And every time I play it, I'm like, I can't get enough of this game, and I literally have to claw myself away from the game because that's all I will play. It's pretty crazy. I don't know if, besides maybe some Call of Duties with multiplayer, there hasn't been a single player out there that I've put more hours into than that game. I've easily put 60 hours into that game, probably more than that. And the last game I'm going to talk about is Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Only this one, because this multiplayer just changed so many things. And if I didn't play this game, I probably wouldn't be into online multiplayer. This game kind of made Xbox Live for this generation in my mind, because no matter what, you played this game. It didn't matter. I mean, now everybody's, oh, Call of Duty sucks. I still play it, but even I at times feel fatigued in this franchise. But at the time, you played this game. It was this or Halo 3, and it was just, I can't think of a game that has more perfect multiplayer maps. The multiplayer was so simple. You just had 3 kill streaks, and that's it. You picked a weapon, you picked 3 perks, that's it. Now, at times, I just feel it's too overcomplicated. I wish they would just go back to what made Call of Duty multiplayer so amazing. And the campaign, I mean, that
all gillied up.
That also,
all gillied up in one shot, one kill.
There was never, like a campaign that was as tense as this. I'm like a shooter campaign that was just tense and had you on edge, and it was really good until the freaking end. It was crazy.
I honestly think that COD 4 has the achievement to get from this generation, which is the Mile High Club, which is the beat that last mission on Venom.
I have gotten so close to so many times. It's so hard.
Like that I feel like that is. You haven't really enjoyed this generation to its fullest unless you've gotten that achievement, I don't think. Which I've gotten close.
Is that the very last mission?
Yes, it's the very last mission. You have a minute to go through the entire mission.
It's an epilogue.
It's an epilogue.
Alright, that's what I wasn't...
Oh, yeah.
If you were talking about the bridge or the...
No.
And at the time, too, it was probably one of the most gorgeous games ever made. It was... just if there's a Call of Duty to play, it's this one.
It broke with World War II. It was the first game to get away from World War II.
And it started all this modern military shooter games, and it revolutionized so many things. If you really step back and think about it, everybody likes to give Call of Duty shit, but this game is still one of my favorite games of all time, and it is really, really good. And
Army of Two was pretty good too. I like that game. The
it
first one, I didn't play the second all that much, but
well, the entire concept of it was kind of an RPG in its own way, where the weapon you picked determined how much aggro you generated and how much the enemies would be focusing on you or your partner.
Yeah. And it was cool how it was a game that definitely relied on two people to play it and stuff. I mean, you could play it just yourself,
But the AI was retarded. The AI was.
That's a
retarded.
game. You know, they just put out a new one, but I kind of want them to make one and just make it amazing because that they have really great ideas in that entire franchise.
Yeah.
And I also agree really heavily on Batman,
Arkham City.
Arkham City, and BioShock. Even the
Yeah.
first BioShock, that was.
The first
Yeah.
BioShock was a game
That was
changer.
very
I went
in
to
and
first
of itself.
Bioshock, but I went I was thinking, just because of how now this Bioshock it has done the same thing, but on a grander scale, changed how storytelling has to be done.
Yeah.
There's just been 3 huge games
And-
this year that are just like the swan songs. of
And
this
the
generation.
Last of Us really is like to me the pinnacle of what a survival game is.
Yeah.
Like if you I played through it on hard, which you will be shitting yourself the entire time because it's so hard to find supplies and stuff. Like shivs are essential. I'm pretty sure Sam and Tyler can agree. Shivs are pretty essential, and you can't find supplies to make shivs very often.
Yeah, like the first time I played it, I started on hard just for the heck of it, and then second time I played through, I did it on easy, and the difference is just
The way they kind of changed some things, not to drag on too much, of like, you go into this area on easy and there'll be a metal pipe, but then you'll go into it on hard and there'll be like a 2x4 with 4 hits. Like, slight changes like that
Yeah,
is kind of how the difficulty changes, or what helps it.
I'd say this was the generation of game changers, really, because the Assassin's
There's a
Creed
lot of
series changed
Everything.
the entire concept of a stealth game. You know, before the Assassin's Creed series, stealth games were, like the first Splinter Cell, where it's shadows, being in the dark at night, wearing all black, and then you get the first Assassin's Creed, and your character is an assassin, but dressed entirely in white. You're doing stuff in the middle of the day in a crowded marketplace and blending into a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
there's color everywhere.
That's all I have. Yeah, I
last
pretty
ones?
much hit everything.
Yeah, this generation's been awesome. There's been too many great games.
Yeah,
It was
just
hard
tried
to pick
boil it
just
down.
like two. It was hard to pick
Yep.
just like 2 or 3.
Yep, we just tried to boil it down. So let us know your favorite games. So, this generation, and see you around.